ముందుకు రండి అమ్మ, ముందుకు గాలి प्लीज अब आपके लिए एक बचा हुआ जी वो आप ही के लिए चला बुझेगा नहीं हवा के दे सकते सर ले चलो
The lighting of the lamp is a very important part of the Indian tradition in dispelling the darkness within and also on the outside. Also,
वर्षेष्ठान्ते वसदृशी गणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलित चिन्मुद्रमानन्दरूपम् स्वात्मारामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे माणिक्यवीणामुपलालयन्तीं मदालसां मञ्जुलवाग्विलासां माहेन्द्रनीलद्युतिकोमलाङ्गीं मातङ्गकन्यां मनसा स्मरामि चतुर्भुजे चन्द्रकलावतंसे कुचोन्नते कुङ्कुमरागशूने पुण्ड्रेक्षुपाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणहस्ते नमस्ते जगदेकमातः माता मरकतस्यामा मातङ्गी मधुशालिनी कुर्यात् कटाक्षं कल्याणी कदम्बवनवासिनी जय मातङ्गतनये जय नीलोत्पलज्युते जय संगीतरसिके जय लीलाशुकप्रिये जय जननी गं गणपते नमो नमो गं गणपते नमो नमो शङ्करी तनया नमो नमो गं गणपते नमो नमो शङ्करी तनया नमो नमो गं गणपते नमो 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 अंकुशधर मंगलकर पंकज चरण अंकुशधर मंगलकर पंकज चरण वारण गं गणपते नमो नमो शङ्करी तनया नमो नमो गं गणपते नमो 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 पंकजासनादिवन्दित भक्तादि हरणमुदिता पंकजासनादिवन्दित भक्तादि हरणमुदिता कुङ्कुमाप गुणनिधे हरिकेश कुमारा कुङ्कुमाप गुणनिधे हरिकेश कुमारा मन्दारा गं गणपते नमो नमो शङ्करितनया नमो नमो गं गणपते नमो 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 नमो
We're very thankful to Shrestha and Shrishti for this wonderful invocation. So we have all gathered here, huh? A Sunday evening, we could have done multiple things. This is a very important people's movement, IKS Hub. As we begin today, I'm sure most of you know us through different collaborating organizations, but what is this collective movement that we are going to do, and what it might hold for the city and all the residents here, the communities, families, children and youth. This we will explore through this function. I'll also now welcome Titiksha Vashishji to render a brief welcome address to all.
Namaskaram, good evening. I am Titiksha, and on behalf of all the collaborating organizations who are with us on the stage, who are off the stage, sitting amongst us, I welcome you all for the launch event of the IKS Hub in Hyderabad city. IKS Hub is indeed the coming together of not just many organizations, but different kinds of people, of teachers, of citizens, of students, of youth, who are looking back and looking in to find answers to many questions in our present about how are we educating our children. How does modern education teach them to be a certain way, and at the same time does not teach many things which the Bharatiya Jnana Paramparas have to offer. We've seen that the modern education system of the kind that exists today is great, right? It teaches us certain things, but yet in many ways we found that these what are now considered alternative education systems were in fact the lifeblood of Bharatavarsha. The greatness of the civilization was a result of such high knowledge in the sciences, in mathematics, in astronomy, astrology, architecture. Sometimes I wonder, when we look at these temples, do we forget that, there was a lot of science involved in constructing a temple? And how has no one in the last 100 years been able to match the grand temples that we so fondly enjoy even to this day, which have been standing for 5,000 years? The IKS Hub is an opportunity for people not just in Hyderabad but all across the country to come together and reclaim this knowledge in various forms. Some of us are artists, some of us are teachers, some of us are dancers, some of us are practitioners of yoga. And the IKS Hub can become that space where we all come, we share this knowledge, not just with children, but with all age groups, with everyone around us. And this is why, like Surya Anna just mentioned, this is a people's movement. It is not about one person or one teacher. It's about all of us coming together to do this. And I'm very happy today to have our chief guest, to have Smriti ji from the Anadi Foundation, to have Manjukesh, everyone come together to show us, and all of you, of course, thank you very much for spending your precious Sunday with us and giving us that conviction that yes, this resonates with people even to this day. We are not alone, and this hub can become that umbrella under which we all find ashraya and under which we grow many more plants and flowers and trees, drawing deeply from the Jnana Paramparas of Bharatvarsha. So welcome all of you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this day. Thank you.
Just Manjukesh ji to kindly honor our chief guest. Set of IKS books and a book called Samskara is being presented to our chief guest. What is the vision behind this? What does it hold for us as a community together? Is it an impetus now from a lot of research organizations, from a lot of the topmost academic institutions in the country on Indian knowledge systems. But now as seekers of this knowledge system, what do we do together as a community? How do we come together to make this a people's movement? Is this entire initiative that we have all come here together? How did this originate? Why was this conceived? And what does it hold for all of us? To give us the vision address, now I request the founder of Anadi Foundation, Matashri Smriti ji, to kindly address the gathering.
Namaste everyone. Very thankful and grateful to Ajay Mishra ji for being with us here today, and many thanks to the people of this wonderful city who have come together for this event. And as Titiksha and Surya have been speaking about it, this IKS Hub is a people's movement. Many things are, many treasures are hidden, many gems are hidden in our tradition. And as a person, as an individual, it's very difficult to mine all that and then make sense of it. And we grew up to be skeptics because of not being exposed to many of these knowledge systems. But then at some point in time, we realize somewhere that spark comes, either because of, in fact, it could be because of even Corona for that matter, right? That spark lightens. And then we wake up to these knowledge systems. It could be Ayurveda, Yoga, Bharatiya Ganita, astronomy, Shilpa Shastra, or whatever it is. And the Indian knowledge systems, or what we call Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, is so vast that it's very difficult for a small group of individuals to make sense of it. There are so many experts throughout the country. You wouldn't believe when you travel from, say, Kashmir to Kanyakumari, and this side from, say, probably Gujarat, Rajasthan to the northeast. Every street is filled with people who are equipped in these knowledge systems. But somehow, only when it is institutionalized, when it is brought to the mainstream, it becomes accessible to more and more people. And for that, we need the collaborative energies of all the experts, of all the organizations that are working in this area. As I was already telling to a few people here in the audience, we are the new people here. You already live here. You're already experts in this area. And there's so much that you can contribute to a common citizen. There's so much that can be awakened in the common citizen towards these knowledge systems, so that the future is bright for the country. There are numerous governmental efforts going on in this direction. And if we as Praja also wake up to this, then it can actually come together and the momentum can be much more. The way we have envisioned this IKS Hub, Indian Knowledge System Hub, The hub is a cool word, so we use a cool word, otherwise it can be called in any Indian language as well, but nevertheless, it's called a hub. The idea is that many of these organizations, experts, who are working in any of these domains, if they feel that they can come together and offer something to the people of this city, could be Hyderabad or Secunderabad, collectively put together, then the citizens can be awakened to this. In fact, I spent about 1.5 years in Italy, and there we used to have something called a researchers event, where researchers who are working on complex knowledge systems will come together and offer a lot of citizens workshop. In fact, one of the researchers would get onto a bus and explain to all the citizens what the research that they are doing there. So at that time what happens is a very complex knowledge becomes accessible to the common citizen. It is already there in our parampara. When you take the masala dabba in your kitchen, it has jeera, pepper and all that. Already that complex knowledge of Ayurveda is available in a simple form. But just that this has to reawaken in a more conscious manner. So the idea of the hub is we have different collaborators in the Hyderabad city alone. We have representatives from Brihat, we have representatives from Kameshwari Foundation, Niramaya Society, and of course our very own Manjukesh, who is the founder of Bilva Yoga and Parampara Society, and who will be anchoring this, his space, is consented to provide to anchor these events coming in the future. So that each of you who are part of this, whatever way possible, we were discussing like what is a hub, right? If 5% of what energy that we have, if we put it for the collective cause, then I think a lot can come out of that. Each percent of our energy, if we bring it onto the table in the form of a hub, then this collective consciousness can be awakened. So that is the idea of the hub. There are sign-up forms for you to contribute whichever way. If you're a volunteer, if you have access to school, if you have access to college students, if you have a space, if you have a knowledge system, if you yourself can do a workshop, all that is possible through the Indian Knowledge System Hub. And this is not anything new. This is just regrouping of people into a common cause that we all believe in. And very happy to be here in the midst of all of you. And we hope that all of you would participate in the future events that are lined up. We'll send across information about the future events as well. And thank you again for being here, and thank you Ajay sir for being with us.
Here with us today evening. May we welcome him with a very warm round of applause, and I invite him to share a few words with us. Thank you.
It would be more comfortable. I think the distance was too much. First of all, not as a formal gesture, I would thank Anadi Foundation, especially Manjukeshwar ji, for giving me this opportunity here. And I'm not saying it as it was a coincidence. How it was a coincidence, all of us spent less or more time on WhatsApp at least. For last few years, 2-3 especially, before that I can say, I have a background of philosophy at one level. I've studied Indian philosophy. My father was professor of philosophy. So whether I liked it or not, much of philosophy was forced on me at home also, besides in the college when I took admission. I studied in a Christian missionary school, I was mentioning to my host here, where church was part of the campus. It was excellent. They didn't force Christianity on us, see. And as against what is being propagated, part of it must be truth. I've never verified. But the school group had a discussion a few weeks back that in spite of the church being next to the school in the same campus, none of us were directly or indirectly motivated to turn to Christianity. So that was one thing. So I've grown in that culture. I speak this foreign language because the priest of this church was a student of MA philosophy with my father. And this priest tutored me into English 50 years back. So see, that is the culture, the composite, this thing with which we have grown up. I got my initiation in Bhagavad Gita, if I can say, on the bed. During those days, 5 decades back, we did not have individual bedrooms for each of the kids. It was 2-3 rooms in which 5-6 family members lived. And especially during winter time, there will be a quilt in which all 4-5 will be sitting. In most of the smaller cities, if I can put it. And there, during morning, my father used to tell us about Bhagavad Gita, different things, shlok by shlok. And it was not part of the curriculum or anything. By that time, I had not even decided that I'll study philosophy. I studied philosophy for a different reason, that was. So that was my upbringing. But society at large, I will say, I'm not blaming myself, though first one has to blame himself. The society, the way it was, somewhere in between, the path deviated. Instead of continuing in the philosophy line, I chose politics for education, then joined administration, and I don't regret at that time. But somewhere towards the end, reflecting upon things, the way media also brought it out, and I think the reason for IKS Hub to start this movement along with other partners, we realized that there is something seriously lacking in our education system. Why it is, how it is, many of you will be knowing. The way our universities, our centers of learning, many of them were destroyed during the last few centuries. Part of the reason. Part of the reason, the way modern education, the way we have inherited at the independence time, we got used to it and we thought that was the ultimate. But gradually, as I analyze it, this land having a tradition of learning, we excelled in their learning first. Then we realized we have something more. When we required or when we were wanting something more, we have to turn back to our roots, what we lost. And today we are at that stage where we have to move ahead of the Western education, I'll call it Western education, by revalidating our own ancient knowledge. It will not happen if we say that our knowledge in Ved, Upanishads and other texts was superior. They will not. The methodology which has been adopted, which has been propagated for last few centuries by the Western world, we will have to convince the Western world about our knowledge through their pedagogy. Otherwise, we will become islands in ourselves. That is my view. And I am bad at names. There is one doctor from Hyderabad who first decade he was a cardiac surgeon. He performed more than 3,000 heart surgeries. Now he is propagating Ayurvedic and holistic medical knowledge. He is more revered in USSR, Moscow and US, and he has got certification for his methodology in US, but he is less recognized here. So, but then we had an interaction with him for 4 or 5 months back. He has adopted the pedagogy of the West, basically quantification, survey, testing, all those things. And then he has justified or he has proved that these systems are better. So for the education system also, similar approach will be required. Mindset has to change. Like I mentioned, I grew up in Kanpur. The best 3 schools at that time were all Christian missionary schools. I went to one of them. All 3 had church in their campus. No one objected to it. Everyone thought it was normal. But today, if we have a temple in this school premises, you know what it will be, many people what they'll say. So that mindset has to change. Our temples earlier were not only places of worship. They were places of learning, they were places of social interaction, etc., etc. So that mindset has to change. And that mindset cannot be done by one organization. So there I find the relevance of organizations like IKS Hub and all other organizations which are joining together. I was initially thinking which language to speak, because when we are coming to discuss about IKS, ideal language would have been Sanskrit or Telugu here. I am not proficient in either of them. Sanskrit, after high school, 1/3 of Hindi paper, I have not gone beyond that. Telugu, lived here, so basic minimum, one can manage, but not to speak that well. So, the knowledge of the texts in which they have been inherited by us is also essential. How do we propagate it in today's world? China, equal population like us, has its education in Chinese language. Plus, when they go beyond a point, it is the outside languages also. Japanese have Japanese. We, as 1/6 of the global population, prefer not to send our children to Telugu medium or Hindi medium schools if we are able to. That mindset has to change. How much time it takes to change will depend on all of us. A child competence is not limited to single language, that many of you must be knowing. A child can easily be proficient in 3-4 languages, and more so if he is trained from the early ages. So if we have to propagate Indian knowledge systems, our mother tongue, the ancient language of Sanskrit, which is the mother of our languages, has to be more popularized, has to become a part of our education system, which it is not today, except isolated institutes. That is one. Making only popular, giving it a status in our country will help, but not beyond that, because today we are looking at global influence. In most of the economic development parameters, we are in the top 10. Our language is not. Chinese language with same number of followers is one of the 5-6 languages of the United Nations. None of our languages is. It will take time, I can understand that. In some parameters, we are number 100 something globally, but then economically, influence-wise, we can safely say that we are in the top 20, this being the year of the G20 presidency for our country. So from G20, how do we come to actual G5? G5 means at the international level, most of the decisions of politics are taken by UN by a group of 5 nations. How do we come to that? How does our language be recognized globally? For that, first we have to make the effort. Indian knowledge systems, our own best students are not, how I can say, are accustomed even today. Last 3-4 days, as a part of my outreach, I am part of mock interview for the senior exams and competitions which take place. So during, not to every candidate, because then the answer gets from outside, it comes inside to the applicants. I asked them why we are now focusing on schemes with Amrit Kal, Amrit Mahotsav, Amrit Manthan. These are one of the brightest kids who are coming for the interview. They are not able to give a cogent reply to that. Many of them are only saying it is the politics, it is our ancient this thing, nothing beyond that. So I don't find fault with them. Because their last 25 years they have not been exposed, no one has told them adequately. And more importantly, there are forces which term it as propaganda. That is the worst thing. If some people are trying to publicize it, why as propaganda? My final thing, in a small setup, Indian knowledge systems, they can be propagated. But then when we have to have public outreach, it is like the lighting of the lamp we did. If it was in a hall, it would have been much easier. No wind, all the lighting could have been in first attempt. But then when it is going out to the public, there are challenges seen and foreseen, which we have to cope up with. We found it difficult to light the lamp. 2-3 attempts took place, and more will have to take place. So, but then once the resolve is there, once our commitment is there, then it's only a question of time. With this, I thank Manjukeshwarji and Anadi, and I'll be happy to be associated in whatever the future. Thank you.
Two millenia. This was a study made by Angus Madison, commissioned by the OECD countries, where each country's contribution to world's GDP in the last 2000 years was studied. This later got published in the Economist magazine. The Economist magazine is not so much pro-India, if I must very honestly also speak here, but this, I think, was unmissable by them as well. If you can see, the pale orange here is India's contribution. That's the first century. Then there are about 1000 years, there will be a redundant graph. They didn't want to do that. Then there is 1000 here, 1500, 1000. As you can see, this is a well-known story that after 18th century, the invasions had tremendously plundered our wealth. But we were the most, economic superpower in the world for 17 centuries, and before that, unstudied. But this much we have data to estimate and study. 1/3 could have driven this. Today's superpowers are driven, anybody might say, through military might. But the military might is in turn driven by sound research and development that they do there. A lot of intellectual property that happens there, Shrestha. In India, what drove the economy is the sound knowledge system. If we didn't have excellent intellectual traditions, excellent scientific heritage, we might not have ever achieved this. Look at our shipbuilding technologies. Romans have written poems about our ships. The 17th century accounts of Europeans about our shipbuilding prowess is unmatched. There's numerous accounts that you can find about our India shipbuilding prowess. Today, are we number one there? Textile manufacturing. Every walking person here is a walking canvas. Maybe this is a blank canvas, but all of you here are wearing very rich tapestry of this nation. There's so much mathematics and combinatorics to achieve this. You can't do, without spherical trigonometry, without trigonometry, you can't do navigation on ships. Look, iron and steel, metallurgy, casting statues, these are all the technologies. And the sciences they were founded on, the medicinal sciences, astronomical sciences, mathematical, chemical sciences, the spiritual sciences of this land, the yogic sciences, all these were, in a sense, we were the Vishwa Guru on all the Bharati Vijnana Paramparas. Today for Adhyatma, Bharat is still the Vishwa Guru. Everybody comes here for Adhyatma Vidya. So too for Vijnana. This is a scientific heritage we must wake up to. If I can let you in on a secret, behind the stage, there are a couple of youth who are lying down and watching, plugged into their ears. Something's gravitating. How can we wake up Bharat into many among these, these heritage systems? The young people, all of us here, I'm sure, are already convinced by these three big capital letters, IKS. We are here for this reason. How do we transform the city? How do we shake this city hard that many fruits fall, and many fruits fall into the hub where we can all work together, is the key thing that we would like to envision here today. Shri Dharampal's beautiful tree captures how was all tree. The tree has to be which tree? Not this tree. Which tree? It has to be a Vatavriksha, a banyan tree. Underneath, who should sit? The guy with this big dhadi, beard, must sit. Around him, students. In a circle, not in rows and columns. That's our idea of Gurukula system. What were they learning in this Gurukula system? Yo, I didn't come here for a quiz. The Gurukula system, our traditional understanding is, they would have lived with nature, they would have sung Gita, they would have learned the Vedas, they would have learned the Vedantas, they would have sung songs, they would have collected firewood, they would have done Guru Seva, they would have taken care of the cows, they would have done Go Seva, they would have done Krishi Seva. All this we know, but what were they learning? What was period number 1, period number 2? Was there a bell? From what time to what time did the school run? These are all important things that we must reflect as we are all bothered about these three capital letters IKS. There, we find some evidences from Sri Dharampalji's work. Sri Dharampal was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's talk in London, where he said, the invaders have dug the roots of a beautiful tree and let it to perish. For 150 years, they have made India and Burma more illiterate than it ever was in the history. That's what Gandhiji speaks, and he also uses a phrase there. I can be challenged about this as well. So Sri Dharampalji finds the empirical evidence for all this, and then he looks at the educational surveys made by 4 presidencies: the Madras Presidency, Bombay, Bengal, and Punjab presidencies. In the Madras Presidency alone, there were 12,500 schools, which we were all part of. Not here, not the Nizam, but south of Hyderabad. There was one school for every 1,000 people. India, do we have these numbers now? Any city? It's a question that we'll have to ask. In Bengal and Bihar, 2 in 3 villages had a school. 1 lakh villages out of 1.5 lakh villages had schools. Entire 18 districts of Bengal had 100 higher education institutes, each having almost 10,800 scholars. I do my PhD at IIT Bombay. At Powai, our capacity right now is 8,500. We're talking about 18 higher education institutions in the Presidency of Bengal alone. How did the school function? There were day schools, there were residential schools. Schools on an average function at least from Sandhya Kala to Sandhya Kala. From the morning Sandhya to the evening Sandhya. How do you captivate children? If you were to, today, captivating children for 4 hours, 5 hours in school is a struggle. Geeta ji is a very seasoned teacher here. She teaches here at the Parampara preschool, where she is very happy to live with them for an eternity to come. Like this, very passionate teachers are holding ground in this country. Otherwise, how would they have engaged children from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.? The main subjects that were taught to, in the preliminary stages were reading, writing and arithmetic. Today there is a lot of debate about when should we start writing, when should we start reading. Akshara Abhyasa began very early. We are talking about Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada mastering the Vedas at age 5, mastering everything at age 8, writing Bhashyas in age 5. What are we talking about here? This is now the debate is, should we introduce writing in age 6, age 7? We come from a very rich educational heritage, and the way we look at education is entirely different. So many books, so many evidences are there. I invite you to go through Beautiful Tree. What was the curriculum followed? What all aspects were there? Higher learning involved astronomy, medical science, theology, metaphysics, ethics, a large study of law. We have a great Nayayikas here with us, both Surya Narayan ji and Srinivas ji. They will later share a few insights as well. And also these myths about social strata, access, everything is burst in the Beautiful Tree because these were based on surveys taken by the administration back then. All strata of the society had excellent gurukulams, enriching ways of learning. And there were variations in depending on the schools and the period of studies and so on. I'll leave these details here. But what should have made Bharat as the Vishwaguru? Now this is something that we must reflect about. We are talking about not just Vijnana, but Dharma Sapeksha Vijnana. Today we teach technology, we do teach science, but we don't bias children to use it for the welfare of all. Today I can teach nuclear physics, I can teach you technology and let you decide on what you would like to do with that knowledge. Whereas in the Indian tradition, it was very, very, very important that anything that was taught was for Loka Sangraha, was for the benefit of the greater good. Hence, we were doing, we achieved all this through rich knowledge systems to create a value positive and cohesive society with this knowledge system. Not that one which divides, not the one that creates disparity in the society. Otherwise, there should have been so many civil wars if there was not harmony earlier. Our sciences and arts were not only intellectual traditions, but they were integrated with a way of life. The way we do a marriage, there's so many scientific aspects behind it. How we fix a muhurta has so many people working for Panchanga. And how did the Panchanga in itself evolve? It is one among the greatest people's movement ever. Today, billions of dollars. Now, today I study astronomical texts of the 15th century and compare it with NASA's current data. NASA pumps in at least $1 billion a year to track the planetary movements. We are close to 99.7% accurate, and this happened because of a people's movement. So again, IKS Hub, why is this essential? The government, all can strive hard. If there is no people's movement, there won't be seeking, longing, and protection, preservation, and transmission of these knowledge systems. Similarly, the sthana given to gurus. Gurus were bahushrutas, they were multifaceted. And the sthana given to them is definitely not where we are right now as a society. Values, skills, and expansive frameworks all led to joyous learning amongst children. Very important is one aspect that our chief guest Sri Ajay ji was also sharing about Sanskritam. Sanskritam was the language of science undoubtedly in India. All languages flourished. Like the Europe had Latin as its language of science, Sanskritam was the language of science. The best part, all was written as poems. All knowledge systems, math, equations, astronomy, all the complex instantaneous velocity, Ayurveda, all methods, Nyaya, all ways of debating, logic, how do you understand, analyze, everything written as beautiful poetic verses. Shrupa Shastras, be it how to cook, be it how to eat, be it how all the Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, all had texts in Sanskrit poems. Now this is very, very important, and this led to a system where you could memorize many of these verses at a young age, which is vastly different from the rote learning that we now expose our children to. Rote learning is reading an unrefined language that is begged, borrowed and stole, which is English, which we are all communicating in right now, from various places, which is not refined and unstructured in its style. Whereas Sanskritam, learning it, is completely different. Now here, Leelavati was the fabled 9-year-old daughter of Bhaskaracharya. Bhaskaracharya asked many questions to her. A text was written in her name, Leelavati. So for this, there is not much evidence except for Faizi, who was in the Akbar's court, a mathematician, a Persian mathematician, who was tasked by Akbar to translate this into Persian. Except for him, others don't have really spoken about who Leelavati herself was. But Leelavati, it is said that she was the fabled daughter, and many questions were posed to her as beautiful poetry, such as this: Parthah karnavadhaya marganaganam krudhorane sandadhe tasyardhena nivaryatacharaganam मूलैश्चतुर्भिर्हयान् शल्यं षड्भिः अथेषु बिस्त्रिभिरपि छत्रं ध्वजं कार्मुकं छिच्चेदास्य शिरश्शरेण कथिते यानार्जुनः सन्दधे. What is it asking? Leelavati, he is asking his daughter, Partha is doing Karnavada. Partha is shooting X number of arrows. Half of it, tasyardhena nivarya, half of it has been used, for defense. Moolayishchaturbhirhayan, 4 root X to tackle the horses. Shalyam Shadbihi, 6 for the charioteer of Karna. Who is Shalya? Who is the maternal uncle of Nakula Sahareva? That's a big story. I'll save this evening without going into it. And then Chhatram Dvajam Karmukam, to the umbrella, to the flag, to the bow. All these one arrows were expended. Finally, one was aimed at the head of Karna. How many was employed? Now, this is a indeterminate quadratic equation that children learn at age grade 10 right now. We are talking about a 9-year-old child learning this. Minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4 is b2. All this we'll be learning right now in the school. And the question will be solve for x. X square minus 4x plus 10 is equal to 0. Whereas now you can't even forget this story. Partha was doing Karnavada. He was doing all this. And there is Yuddha Niyati in this. Because he's using only one and the final one for the head. He's waiting for the opponent to surrender. So many facets to it. This is just one example. But the most important part of this is that all this was written in Sanskrit. And James Hartzell, you might have all heard of. It's a very important story. Very important research published in the Scientific American. You can go through it, which talks about not just this, there are so many other studies as well that talk about the neuroscientific benefits of learning, reciting and chanting in Sanskrit, where everything is written to a chandas or a specific meter. So the entire experience is entirely different while we learn it in Sanskrit. So these were some among the most important aspects of the knowledge system. There are many benefits to this, but I want to say this one particular quote by Sir C.V. Raman. He said in 1969, a good number of years have passed. Any math students here, how many years have passed? I'll save time. We have, I think, developed an inferiority complex. I think what is needed in India today is the destruction of this defeatist spirit. We are still striving for it. As we come together, as we talk about it, we are still striving for it. We need a spirit of victory, and we need to know that we are inheritors of a very proud civilization. Now, this can't just be, browbeating. It cannot be just, looking at, thumping on your chest. It's about working scientifically towards understanding many of these shastras, popularizing them. Another important aspect is that many of this sits as research in echelons of academia, and it never trickles down to the society. How do we create a momentum where people in the society are thirsting for this? We will come together, all of you, I look at you as ambassadors of this IKS Hub as we come here today. And we can do many things here by establishing a collaborative space for learning to promote and popularize ancient knowledge systems. Now, here we want to start such hubs in different cities and have different spokes in the cities where all of you in your own societies, in your own places, can create some momentum. Here is a space that's available for all of us to freely collaborate, create study circles, work on various initiatives. Some of the upcoming programs in March are written here. Many more would be updated in ikshub.org. And what we are going to focus on, a few important aspects. Hosting, important lightning talks by important researchers in a way so that it doesn't look like academic research, but that's accessible to the public. We want to offer various IKS workshops, camps, fairs for schools. In fact, coming June, we are looking at making a big IKS Science Fair Festival for schools here in the city. Short-term courses, parenting workshops, chanting, Kantapata classes, just chanting circles in your own spaces, creating spaces where the Shabda is always, the Shabda Rashi is always available, so that, we can keep the knowledge tradition alive just by chanting in itself. IKS-based yatras, retreats, very importantly, now this is a very alive city. We want startup ideas, we want to impact youth in IKS. We want startup ideas based on various IKS parameters. There is chat GPT, why can't we have chant GPT, right? So we can do many of these aspects through hackathons, through simple, tech-based interventions and solutions. Daring to look at bridge both the past and the present together. IKS-based storytelling aspects, various aspects, right, in various domains, health sciences, math, logic, psychology, cognition, sustainability, and a whole host of spaces. Now, who can benefit? It's for all. For all people of all walks of life, we want to create various aspects. What we want to definitely do is we have, kept sort of a form which would be our membership form. There's a registration form there. I invite, I request all of you to reflect about what are all things that we can do together. Can we mobilize people? Can we, host talks? Which the collaborating organizations would definitely are already committed to do, but we'll be doing more as a city, working together. Can we do some, important workshops? Can we create camps? Can we create, if you are from a college, activities that you can do? We already have an ambassador from TAFR who just signed up last night, Amokji, with us. Like this, you can become ambassadors of IKS in your camps. You can become the voice of IKS in different places. We can look at mobilizing, as a community, we can come together and do many of these activities together. Even, we should have, I think, short-scale writing workshops. Collecting many of the, Telugu poems that are important for children to learn. What is there in the Vedavala Shiksha? Having workshops, writing workshops daring to look at the Shastras in many ways, attempting many different ways to collect, assimilate, disseminate in many ways, even if we can falter. With nuclear physics, we faltered by thinking an atom looks like a watermelon, and we still put it in our textbooks. We read nuclear physics by saying there's the Thomson's model of watermelon model. We still think there is something in the center, something is orbiting. An atom is a probabilistic cloud. How will you tell that to a child, right? So yet, you work on creating ways to talk about nuclear physics in schools. Talk about nuclear physics to public. All of us know about electrons, protons, neutrons. How does that come to be? Like this, we can make aspects of IKS visible, accessible, with a thirst, create a thirst in all to assimilate many of this, protect, preserve, and transmit. Towards this, I welcome you all in this important occasion to get together and wake up those sleeping behind the screen and sleeping within, everywhere in the city. Uttishta Bharata is the important call right now. And we feel that this can be very, powerful as a people's movement, rather than coming from a systemic, definitely systemic pushes have their place. But if the freedom movement, everything that happened in the country from Panchanga to the freedom movement was all a people's movement. So I invite you all to be part of this. Now I'll request some among our collaborators to also come in and then share a few words and how they wish to present and how we collectively as well can do many of these aspects. There is a good last. The closing invocation, we'll also have some more verses from Leelavati and show how children can also do many of these aspects. So this question, another important question is, where is this IKS Hub going to happen? Dadi, tree, which tree? In fact, IKS Hub is all of us as we move everywhere. Durvasa Maharishi was a walking university everywhere. But we also need a space, right? So that's where we must thank Parampara Educational Society, Bilva Studio to have offered Manjukesh ji to have offered a space here for all of us. Right here across the Padmashali Kalyana Mandapa, we have a space here for the, for us to host various events, to get together. And in the space also we wanted to create maximum, sort of awareness. I invite after this event all of us to also, I invite all of us to go to this space, and we wanted to make sure that there is enough room to conduct various activities that we would like to do here. The simple space, there is good, place for a book bank, which all of us can contribute to the IKS Hub. Various, posters, probable, activities that we're going to do, various work areas, and also in all our t-shirts, there are fantastic data that you must all know. All these posters are also available with us. You can later ask Manjukesh. You can put it up in many spaces across the city, wherever you would like to. Here we have some t-shirts to, also disseminate. And the cool factor, as Madhashi was talking about, is also important to make it relevant to this Yuga Niyati, where we are and what we can do. So you can see, very interesting facets about various, about astronomy, Ayurveda, Nyaya, various Darshana Shastras, Ganita, Jyotisha, all that available here in this space. The space, as some of you might have already visited, is right opposite here, the Padmashali Kalyana Mandapa building. It's there on the second floor of it. There also, inside that space, there is a subspace where a preschool called Parampara Preschool is happening, which the focus is to decolonize preschool education so that the London Bridge can stop falling down. And then this Baba Black Ship can also say bye-bye to us. So all this is happening here at the Parampara Preschool also. I invite all of you to also, after this event, to that space. Now may I request Kavita ji on behalf of Brihat to also share a few words.
Namaskaram, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. I can't top what he spoke, so that was beautiful. It feels wonderful to be a part of this hub. I'm from Brihat, and among other things, Brihat is implementing IKS, Indian Knowledge Systems, and we develop curriculum, we do learning design, we mentor seekers, scholars, anything to do with Indian Knowledge Systems. And knowing that Anadi Foundation, there's an alignment with them. When Smriti ji proposed that we do IKS Hub, we were so happy and very proud to collaborate and partner. And this way we can bring our strengths together, all of us, and we can leverage our capacity. Indian Knowledge Systems, as in Brihat we say, it is a universal episteme, which means it's not useful only for Indians. It is something that is useful world over, globally, and that everybody has to know, and of all ages, for all ages. And unfortunately, this is being lost in our children, in the younger generation, and as Sir had spoken, past 25-30 years, maybe because of the education system, and now with NEP it's changing, IKS is going to be part of the curriculums, but a lot of us grew up without it. And the children are moving away from classical arts or away from the philosophical systems and the complex philosophical systems that exist. So how to bring them back? So IKS Hub is a great space, a collaborative space for this, to preserve and transfer this kind of the Gnana Parampara, and Brihat looks forward to working with all of you to promote and transfer this parampara to the next generation and globally. Namaskar.
Many thanks to Brihat for their active participation here. Now may I request Sri Nagendra ji from Niramaya Foundation to also, Narendra ji from Niramaya Foundation to also share a few words. Ji was just sharing with me that I failed to introduce myself. My name is, I'm Brahmachari Surya Narayan from Anadi Foundation. I also take care of the Gurukulam and other education initiatives at Anadi Foundation. Also a research scholar at IIT Bombay along with Manjukesh's brother Varunesh. There we are working under Professor K. Ramasubramaniam ji on Indian math and astronomy. Narendra Reddy. I'm very, very sorry, my sincere apologies.
You can call me any name, I am the same body. Namaste all. Thank you all for coming, because this is, I think, the first event which emphasizes a transformation, a shift, a movement. And this is usually referred as Mad Fellows Gathering. In English, it may not give that impact punch, but in Telugu, we call Pichola Sangam. Because I've been doing this for the last 23 years. Now, after 23 years, we joined here. So I was a Pichoni at that time. Now I have a good company of many Pichos. Isn't it nice to have a mutta? Right? So any change, any movement, any transformation takes time, takes volume, takes numbers, okay? And we have to strongly believe that that starts with one. It's not always, it doesn't come like a tufan or wave or, it doesn't happen that way, especially humanistic thinking, social change, any transformation, something to happen. It happens in very small way with some mad guy or mad girl, she starts doing, and then it takes a ripple effect and more people join, but it takes time, okay? Definitely, it is doable, it is necessary, it is unavoidable, okay? And this is where the future is. Whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not, this is where we are heading. I don't know how many people understand what IKS means. It's an English word, Indian Knowledge System. I don't know how much you can comprehend by that word. When you say Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, how many people feel comfortable? That gives strength. That gives a feel, right? When you say Indian Knowledge System, what does it mean? System. Just like he said, Baba Baba Black Sheep, right? Okay. Right? I'll give one example. How many people can explain me what actually means Bajranga Bali? Yes, go ahead, please.
Avadi language word, don't actually sir. Bajrangi means, Vajra means diamond. So whatever we spell like Vajra in Telugu, so it's a buzzer. They won't act, Telugulo Uttala evaithe antamo, avi palakaru Avadi language lo. That's why Bajra, that is buzzer. Bajrangi means his organs are as strong as, usually, shall I repeat once more?
Yes, no, you got it, you got it.
Usually, Vajra means diamond. So, usually, Avadi language lo, Uttulu undavu. Vajra an palkakonda, Buzzer an palkutaru. So, Bajrangi means the organs of Hanuman are as strong as diamond. So, diamond can only be broken by diamond.
Very nice, very nice. After 20 years, I found one person answering that. Isn't it great? Okay, that's why. So, Bajrangi, I don't think anybody really even questioned it. What does it mean? That is the greatness of us. We use that word so often, so many organizations, so many entities, so much of activities and all that. But what actually is Bajrang? We don't know. We never questioned it. We lost that attitude of questioning. It killed the education system or the societal modifications and all that. Killed that quest. We're just living. We're just getting degrees, doing a job, earning, paying somebody to do what we need to do. Okay? A lot of things. So when there is no quest, when you don't question also probably a bad word. If you translate that into our language, what do we call? Samvada. You ask something to somebody who knows about what you're thinking, he knows about it, let me ask him. Right? So when you say question, it can be negative, positive, neutral, or whatever. But samvad, sa, something starts with sa is vadan, right? So a beautiful exchange of thoughts, exchange of ideas, right? So Bajrang Bali, I don't know how you felt when you call Bajrang Bali. You will say, relate that, oh, it's Hanumanji, right? But how Bajrang means Hanuman? How do you relate it? Right? Originally, he was blessed to be a Vajranga. You see the difference? Vajranga. And when you say Bajrang, it's a level of understanding, right? When you say something, we need to refine ourselves. Like, what am I saying? Why am I saying this word? You need to be very purified, very clear. Okay? That's called Vachika Tapas. Okay, whatever you're saying, how pure it is. Is that really true? Okay, if you don't follow certain things, when you don't question yourself, like, why did I say that? Or why even I'm thinking that? If you don't question yourself, you cannot improve. Okay, why we are in this state currently, I know we can probably give a list of all kind of horrible things in our society or in the schools or in the jobs and all over the place. So why we are in this state is because we stopped questionings, stopped thinking, stopped asking. We stopped defining ourselves. That's what is called samskara. Samskara means, there are so many meanings for it, but samskarana, everybody is engaged in samskarana of others. A lot of samskaranas outside, but who will do yours? Right? That's kind of the shift we need. That's what actually the Vidya, Vidyabhyasa, Swadhyaya, Adhyayana, Gurukula, all these were centered towards that self-refinement. If you're not refining yourself, you don't go anywhere. It's only like a downfall system. And that we are already there. Yet the time has come that we need to start doing even that little bit. Mr. Picholu, right? That one person. Let us start thinking and doing something different. So IKS is not starting today. IKS Hub in Telangana is starting today, yes. But IKS as such is a centrally created entity, Indian Knowledge System, iksindia.org. You can visit the site. It is under the Ministry of Education. It is administered by IIT Kharagpur. And you visit the website, you can see all kinds of stuff. It's not like a private entity, it's not just Mad Fellows organization, okay? This is officiated, it is authentic, and this is how, what is called the NEP 2020, the National Education Policy, given the flexibility of creating such wonderful things. And government itself created a new entity within the Ministry of Education to help us, like Mad Fellows, to take it forward, okay? They are not defining, you do only this. You go to the visit, you will see like all wonderful things. It's like, it's mind-blowing. Which direction do I take, right? When Suryaji covered so many things, I don't know how many people understood what he said. Because that's a kind of, higher level wording and, thinking. So, that's why we put IKS Hub, because that is the palatability. That's what we can understand. If I say Bharatiya Jnana Parampara, sounds so good. But what do we know about it? What is Bharatiyata? What is Jnana? What is Parampara? If the child, your own child comes to home and asks like, what is this? Why? I used to have all weird questions within me actually. We have only, one nose, right? We don't have two noses. A bird also has only one nose. But all of them have two nostrils. Though it is one nose, you have two nostrils. Why? Why there are two nostrils? That is my question. Why do we have it? Is there a purpose? Is there a function? Is it doing something, being there? Because none of the body has anything unnecessary, right? Body evolves as such, either you use it or lose it. If you don't use your brain, it reduces. The next generations will have smaller brains, right? If you use the muscle, you exercise, you're a Mr. India or Miss India, the next generation comes with that built-in strength and, musculature, right? So my question is, as a child, I used to think, later I got some answers, okay? So two nostrils, why you have two nostrils? Anybody can answer that, maybe, quickly. Those who attended my sessions, don't. They'll be cheating. Okay? Maybe later, we will discuss that later.
Do pranayama.
You can do with one nostril, right? No? That's why pranayama, when he said, he answered that, but why? This is the
Natural
thermostat, exactly. So it's a built-in, our own thermostat, that's where the functionality. That's why if in that sleep also you kind of rotate, towards left and right, and you're not aware of it. Because when the heat goes to a certain level, automatically body turns. You cannot change it. You cannot force yourself to sleep only on one side. Okay, if you tie yourself, then you get to so hot or cold, then you'll become crazy. You'll wake up suddenly. Okay, I'm just giving only a couple of examples just to initiate a thought that there is so much to know, so much to learn, so much to elevate ourselves, evolve in our life. We are not here to get a degree and done. You're not a master of anything. It doesn't matter how many PhDs they give you. Okay, I did not do any PhDs, but my passion for understanding nature, understanding what's going on inside me, what is my duty for this life. I know I'm going to live probably, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, maybe, not too long, right? But why am I born? What am I supposed to do? Is I don't eat, sleep, and, continue? No. We are human. We are not like other animals. There is a possibility of evolving from one level to second level, third level, fourth level. Okay? We are all different, no doubt about that. We are very, very unique. I can guarantee you there is a master within each of you, not only people who are here, who are not here also. Every human is born with such a level of talent and abilities. Only thing is our view is out. That is the problem. I'm not saying don't look out. You're born to see out, no doubt. But can you reflect? You have to shift your mind. Both, you should be able to flex yourself between out and inside. Internalization is the key. That's where your journey starts. And it's not easy, I'm telling you. Looking outside is very easy. But looking inside will be scaring you, you will be shivered. You don't want to close your eyes because everything pops up out of your mind. And you will not be able to face yourself. Forget about what is outside. Outside is not as scary, but inside is much scarier. Okay? I'll stop with this, but I just wanted to give a glimpse of where we are, where we should be going. If at this age level, if we can give a spark in ourselves, I think we can create wonderful environments, wonderful opportunities for the next generations. Okay? And IKS Hub will be definitely a platform where we all can, these mad people can come together or share your thoughts and maybe your expertise. You can say, hey, mad fellow, you're doing this, you can do this way or that way. Stop doing this. There are plenty of ways, because there are masters, so many masters, who explore these things much deeper. So, because of lack of platform, a lot of people don't, express it, or, even at home also they don't say much because this is a mad fellow and we need to kick him out of the house, things like that. But, yes, even if they say something bad at your home, you can come to the IKS Hub and share your thoughts. We will clap, we will, hug you and, take it forward. We will share with other mad fellows. Okay? Let's create a greater environment for next generations, the children especially. I mean, I'll probably avoid 13 and above, but I'll focus more on 2 years onwards to probably 12, okay? Because that's where the molding or flexibility or the purity is still available. After that, it's a little difficult, not only for parents, teachers can also not do much. It'll be even difficult for them because they don't know who this is and they're going to teach me something. I'm not going to listen to them. There are a lot of things come into picture. So let's see how we can work it out. Because just one day we cannot really come up with a lot of solutions or greater things in a day. But it's an ongoing process. Let's work together. Let's come together. Let's join hands and let's share our needs also. We may not be able to offer at this point, but yes, this looks nice, or this I want to give to my child, or my children, or our community. But whatever the way. Whatever the way. If you think this is beneficial and good, and this is what we need, if you have any doubts, like what exactly you guys do, please join our sanghas. What we call hub. Maybe English word it doesn't explain it well. You should call it satsanga. Okay. Sangha is the union. Satsanga is, instead of mad people, we call ourselves good people, right? For namesake at least, right? So it will be a satsanga of Indian knowledge system oriented population, especially for ourselves. We will learn ourselves because a lot of us, we did not have that opportunity. I was a mad fellow, so I explored all this by myself and talked to a lot of teachers, a lot of entities, visited ashrams and all that, and not only philosophical side, but realistic situation, general regular life situations. So it's not. I'm not talking about the religious aspect. I'm not a very religious person, but I really want to question. If something, if you're using turmeric, I'll ask why. So I'm a pharmacist, so I know the ways to find what it does, what are the chemical compositions, and all that stuff. So it's like explorative mindset. Okay. So let us come together and do whatever the bit we can do to make this successful and see what we can do to create wonderful environments for the future generations. Thank you very much.
thanks to Narendra. Now, may I invite from Sri Kameshwari Foundation both Surya Narayanji and Srinivas Ramalamavatakaji to, if Hyderabad has two Ashwini Kumaras, it is they. And it's important that they give us eyesight into the traditional knowledge systems. They could have done so many things in their lives. They are very, some of the most smartest people that I've seen. But to just give you a very, brief introduction also, they studied, under the traditional, methods of studying the Krishna Yajur Veda for many years. After that, they took a break. They also studied various things. Srinivasji shared that he was excelling in Japanese, but then he came back again to Indian knowledge systems. Both of them have done fantastic work together as well as individually in the field of Nyaya and also in Vedanta. Here they are here with us, here in this city with us. We must definitely, from people who are very traditionally trained, we have a lot to learn from. And all the more they are very, contemporary, they have very important insights for all of us to bridge the past and the present. I humbly request you to kindly.
सर्वेभ्यः नमस्काराः, शुभसायम्। अद्य चन्द्रः बहु आह्लादकरः वर्तते। अद्यः अत एव अस्माकं मनः अपि स्पन्दते। మీ అందరికీ కూడా ఈ విషయం అర్థమైందని అనుకుంటున్నాను. మనం మామూలుగా ఏమనుకుంటామంటే అందరికీ తెలుగు అర్థమవుతుంది కదా, మిశ్ర గారు మీకు కూడా తెలుగులోనే మాట్లాడదామని ఎందుకు అనుకుంటున్నానంటే అది మన మనసు భాష కాబట్టి మనం తెలుగులో మాట్లాడుకుందాం, తెలుగులో ఆలోచిద్దాం. ఇందాక నరేంద్ర గారు మాట్లాడేటప్పుడు ఐకేఎస్ అంటే ఏంటి అని ఒక ప్రశ్న లేవనెత్తారు. మామూలుగా ఐకేఎస్ అంటే ఏంటి అంటే మన దృష్టికోణంతో మనం ఆలోచించడమే ఐకేఎస్. ఇదేదో వేరే ఎక్కడో కొత్తగా ఎక్కడి నుంచో వచ్చిన విషయం కాదన్నమాట. ఉదాహరణకి నా కడుపులో నొప్పిగా ఉందనుకోండి, కడుపులో నొప్పిగా ఉంది అనగానే మనం ఎలా ఆలోచిస్తున్నాం, దానికి రెమెడీ ఏం చేస్తున్నాం, ఎవడు చూపిస్తున్నటువంటి దారిలో మనం దాన్ని చూస్తున్నాం. పొద్దున్న లేచినప్పటి నుంచి వస్తున్నటువంటి ఆ కమర్షియల్ యాడ్స్ని పట్టుకొని కడుపులో పిరప్పి రాగానే ఏం చేస్తున్నాం అంటే మనల్ని ఈ మార్కెటింగ్ వైపు ఎలాగ తోసేస్తోంది. ఇదంతా వాళ్ళు ఏర్పరిచినటువంటి ఒక దృష్టికోణం అండి. వాళ్ళ థాట్ మోడల్. వాళ్ళందరూ ఈ థాట్ మోడల్స్ ఎందుకు తయారు చేసుకున్నారు అంటే ఇండస్ట్రీ సైకాలజీ వాళ్ళు బాగా చదువుకొని ఎన్నిసార్లు కనుక నేను యాడ్ ఇస్తే నా గొర్రెలు మనందరినీ వాళ్ళు గొర్రెలుగా భావిస్తారు. ఈ గొర్రెలందరూ ఎలాగా ఆ వరుసలోనే వెళ్ళిపోతారు అనేటట్టుగా వాళ్ళు ఆలోచించి తయారు చేస్తున్నారు. మనం ఏంటంటే గొర్రెలుగా కాకుండా గొర్రె కాపర్లుగా ఇప్పుడు మనం ఆలోచించాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. మనం గొర్రెలం కాదు, ఇకపైన మన నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్స్కి మనమే గొర్రె కాపర్లం. గొర్రె కాపర్లు అంటే గురువుగారులు, గొర్రె కాపర్లు గొర్రెలందరికీ గురువుగారులు అండి. మనం నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్కి గురువుగారులను తయారు చేసుకోవాలి. ఆ గురువుగారులకు ఏమేమి తెలిసి ఉండాలో మనం ఇప్పుడు ఎంచుకోవాలి. నా పులిహోరలో కారం ఎక్కువ ఉండాలంటే నేను మిరియాలు బాగా దంచుకోవాలి. ఇది మనం చేసుకోవాల్సింది. మన గురువుగారులు ఎలా ఉండాలి ఇప్పుడు మనం అది వాళ్ళకి నేర్పాలి. సో మన దగ్గర ఉన్నటువంటి సామర్థ్యాలు ఏమిటి, మన స్కిల్ సెట్ ఏంటి, నా పరిధి ఏంటి, ఇవన్నీ మనం చూసుకుంటూ ముందరికి వెళ్తూ ఉండాలి. నేను ఒకే ఒక్క విషయం కామేశ్వరి ఫౌండేషన్ గురించి చెప్తాను, తర్వాత మా తమ్ముడు మాట్లాడతాడు. వీడు నా తమ్ముడండి. ఓకే, సో మేము కామేశ్వరి ఫౌండేషన్లో ఏం చేస్తామంటే అసలు మా స్కిల్ సెట్ ఏంటో మీతో నేను పంచుకోవాలి. మేము ఇద్దరం కూడా శాస్త్రంలో తర్కశాస్త్రము, వ్యాకరణము, వేదాంతం గురుకులంలో చదువుకున్నాం. మాకు హైదరాబాద్ని పాలించాలి అని అనిపించి హైదరాబాద్ వచ్చేసాం. ఎక్కడ పాలించాలి హైదరాబాద్ని అంటే శాస్త్ర క్షేత్రంలో హైదరాబాద్ని పాలించాలి, అందుకోసం వచ్చాం. సరే, ఇంకా అమ్మవారు మాకు అందించిన స్కిల్ సెట్ ఏంటంటే బహుభాషలలో कम्युनिकेट చేయగలను. आई कैन कम्युनिकेट इन इंग्लिश, मुझको हिंदी भी अच्छी तरह से समझ में आता है और उसमें थोड़ा गलती हो सकता है, फिर भी मैं कम्युनिकेट कर पाता हूँ, वो मेरा खूबी है. సో ఈ స్కిల్ సెట్ ఏంటి అంటే మనుషుల మనసులతో కమ్యూనికేట్ చేసే ఒక సామర్థ్యాన్ని అమ్మవారు ఇచ్చారు. సో దాన్ని ఉపయోగించుకుంటూ మేము కొన్ని కోర్సెస్ తయారు చేస్తాం, మేము మెటీరియల్ తయారు చేస్తాం. ఇప్పటివరకు ఏం చేసాము అని అంటే శాస్త్రీయ దృష్టి అని ఒక కోర్సు తయారు చేసామండి. దీనిలో ఏంటంటే చిన్న పిల్లలకి, అంటే చిన్నపిల్లలు అంటే మా ఉద్దేశంలో 6th క్లాస్ 7th క్లాస్ ఆ ఏజ్లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి, ఇందాక నేను చెప్పాను కదా మన దృష్టికోణం మనకు ఉండాలి. ఇప్పుడు ఇంతమంది ఇక్కడ వచ్చి ఉన్నారండి, దీన్ని రకరకాలుగా నేను చూపించవచ్చు. ఒక మార్కెటింగ్ యాంగిల్తో చూపించాలంటే ఒక లోగోనో ఏదోనో ఒక మార్కెటింగ్ స్ట్రాటజీ ఇంతమందిని ఇక్కడ తెచ్చింది అని కూడా చెప్పచ్చు. ఇంకో రకంగా చెప్పాలంటే ధర్మం అందరినీ ఇక్కడికి తెచ్చిందని చెప్పచ్చు. అది మన దృష్టికోణం బట్టి ఉంటుంది. సో మన ఋషులది ఒక దృష్టికోణం ఉండేది, దాన్నే శాస్త్రీయ దృష్టి అని అంటారు. ఆ దృష్టికోణాన్ని నేర్పడానికి ఒక ఏడాది పాటు ప్రతి వారం 2 గంటలు ప్రయత్నం చేసి మేము ఒక కరికులం తయారు చేసుకున్నాం. అది మేము తయారు చేసింది. రెండవది, ఈ క్షేత్రంలో పనిచేస్తున్నటువంటి అగస్త్య గురుకులం, వ్యోమా ల్యాబ్స్, ఇలా రకరకాల వాళ్ళు పనిచేస్తున్నారండి. మనకు తెలియదు, అంటే మనం హైదరాబాద్లో ఉండి మన ఇంట్లోనే మనం ఉంటే మనకు తెలియదు బయట ఏం జరుగుతుంది అనేది. వ్యోమా ల్యాబ్స్ అనేది బెంగళూరు నుంచి, అగస్త్య గురుకులం అనేది కాలిఫోర్నియా USA నుంచి పనిచేస్తున్నారు. వాళ్ళకి మెటీరియల్ మేము డెవలప్ చేసి ఇచ్చాము. అది కాకుండా మా సొంతంగా కూడా మేము కొన్ని కోర్సెస్ చేసామన్నమాట. నిన్న ఒక అత్యద్భుతమైనటువంటి ఒక కోర్స్ తయారైందండి. ఇదేంటంటే ఆపస్తంభ గృహ్య సూత్రాల మీద ఆన్లైన్లో. ఆపస్తంభ గృహ్య సూత్రాలు అంటే ఏంటంటే మనందరం కూడా ఏదైతే పురోహితులు వచ్చి మన ఇంటికి కొన్ని కార్యక్రమాలు చేస్తూ ఉంటారు, సత్యనారాయణ స్వామి వ్రతం చేస్తారు, మన ఉపనయనం చేస్తారు, వివాహం చేస్తారు. ఇవన్నీ ఇలానే చేయాలని ఎవరు చెప్పారు? ఒక్కొక్కళ్ళకి ఒక ఋషి ఎప్పుడో కొన్ని వేల ఏళ్ల క్రితమే, నాయన ఇక పైన నువ్వు ఇలానే నీ క్రతువులన్నీ చేసుకో అని చెప్పి ఒక సూత్రాల్లో కూర్చిపెట్టారు. అవి ఎవరికి తెలియాలి? మన ఇంటికి వచ్చి నేర్పించే పురోహితులకి, చేయించే పురోహితులకి తెలియాలి. కానీ దౌర్భాగ్యవశాత్తు చాలామంది చెప్పిన కారణాల వల్ల తరతరాలుగా కూడా ఆ వ్యవస్థలు కూలిపోవడం వలన అవి అందరికీ తెలియట్లా. సో మేమేం చేసామంటే ఇప్పుడు అందరూ ఒక చోట రండి మనం నేర్చుకుందాం అంటే కష్టం. కాబట్టి ఆన్లైన్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్లో కామేశ్వరి ఫౌండేషన్ ద్వారా 86 మంది పురోహితులు డబ్బులు కట్టండి, ఏది ఫ్రీ కాదు. ఫ్రీ అంటే ఏంటంటే కమిట్మెంట్ లేదండి, పూర్తిగా డబ్బులు కట్టి పురోహితులు 86 మంది ఆల్ ఓవర్ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ జాయిన్ అయ్యారు. వాళ్ళకి ముష్టి పవన్ కుమార్ శర్మ గారని ఒక ఇన్స్ట్రక్టర్ వారు చెప్తున్నారు. సో ఇలాగా మా ఫౌండేషన్ హైదరాబాద్లోనూ పనిచేస్తోంది. ప్రధానంగా ఆన్లైన్లో మేము విజిబుల్గా ఉన్నాము. హైదరాబాద్ని పాలించడానికి వచ్చామని చెప్పాం కాబట్టి ఆ పనులు నెమ్మదిగా చేస్తున్నాం. మా తమ్ముడికి ఇస్తాను.
Namaskaram Andi. So first of all, I would like to thank Anadi Foundation for the initiation, because it was their initiation, and upon knowing that, we naturally, I would say, organically have come forward to associate with them. సో అన్నయ్య చెప్పినట్టుగా మా అన్నయ్య అండి, నేను కనిపించడానికి ఇలా కనిపిస్తాను కానీ నేను తమ్ముడిని. సో in addition to this, whenever there was a thought or inquiry, అంటే మేము చదువుకుంది యద్యపి తర్కశాస్త్రము తర్వాత వేదాంతమైనా, మా ఈ జర్నీలో ఎప్పుడెప్పుడైతే మమ్మల్ని చూసి చాలామంది చాలా ప్రశ్నలు అడిగేవారు, ఏమండి ఇది ఎలా అది ఎలా అని చెప్పని. నేను వెనకాల వెళ్ళి చూసిన ప్రతిసారి ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ టైమ్ వెన్ ఐ వెంట్ బ్యాక్ అంటే కనుక రీడిస్కవరీ, అంటే మనల్ని మనం మళ్ళీ తెలుసుకోవడం కోసం వెన్ ఐ హ్యాడ్ టు యాక్చువల్లీ అగైన్ గో దేర్ అండ్ రిఫర్ ఆర్ ఓన్ టెక్స్ట్స్. నాకు చాలా ఆశ్చర్యపరిచేటటువంటి చాలా అంశాలు నాకు తెలిసాయి. సో ఇన్ దాట్ హోల్ జర్నీ ఐ ఫెల్ట్ దట్ దెర్ ఇస్ నో సబ్జెక్ట్ దట్ హ్యాజంట్ బీన్ థాట్ అబౌట్ బై ఆర్ యాన్సెస్టర్స్. ఎందుకంటే ఒక నాగరికత అని ఈ రోజుల్లో వీళ్ళు అంటున్నారు, అంటే మన దృష్ట్యా శాస్త్రీయ పరంపరలో ఈ సంసారం అనేది అనాది. సో దీనికి ఒక స్టార్టింగ్ పాయింట్ అనేది ఎప్పుడూ ఉండదు. సో వీఆర్ థ్రైవింగ్ లైక్ దిస్ ఫ్రమ్ ఏజ్ అన్నోన్. సో వీ హ్యావ్ ఆల్ ది సిస్టమ్స్ దేర్. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ దట్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు రీడిస్కవర్ అనేది ఐ హ్యావ్ ఫౌండ్ ఇట్ ఓవర్ అండ్ ఓవర్ అగైన్. మీరు ఏ సబ్జెక్ట్ చెప్పినా సరే వీ హ్యావ్ ఆర్ ఓన్ టెక్స్ట్స్ డీలింగ్ ఎక్స్టెన్సివ్లీ on that subject anamata. You name it, architecture, you name everything that wonderfully Suryanarayana ji has actually explored all those things. Even any subject you state it all starts with an idea. So where from that idea comes, idea ante enti, it's a thought. A thought ekkadi nunchi vastundi, creativity antaru. Where does that idea come from? ఇది చాలామంది ఎక్స్ప్లోర్ చేయనటువంటి అంశం. అంటే ఇట్లా చాలా అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ నుంచి మెటీరియలిస్టిక్ నుంచి చాలా అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ అంశాల వరకు చాలా విషయాల్లో చాలా అంతెందుకు ఇప్పుడు ఇందాక చెప్తూ ఉంటే ఐ వాస్ థింకింగ్ అబౌట్ హిస్టరీ గురించి చదివినప్పుడు మనం ఎంతసేపు ప్రపంచ చరిత్ర, భారతీయ చరిత్ర ఇలాగే అనుకుంటున్నాం, కానీ ప్రతి ఒక్క గ్రామానికి ఒక చరిత్ర ఉంది. అండ్ దీస్ హిస్టరీస్ హ్యావ్ బీన్ రికార్డెడ్ అండ్ దే ఆర్ దేర్ అవైలబుల్ ఇన్ అవర్ లైబ్రరీస్. అండ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అన్ఫార్చునేట్ దట్ వీ డోంట్ గో అండ్ యాక్చువల్లీ రెఫర్ దెమ్. మనకి జిల్లా కైఫియత్తులు అని చెప్పని వీ హ్యావ్ డాక్యుమెంటెడ్ హిస్టరీస్ ఆఫ్ ఆర్ ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ పాసిబుల్ వాట్ యు కాల్ విలేజ్. మీరు ఒకసారి వెనకాలకు వెళ్ళి ప్రతి ఒక్కళ్ళు ఇక్కడ ఒక గ్రామాన్ని నుంచే మనకు చెంది ఉంటాం. We all belong to one or the other village. You go there and once refer those kaifiyats and you will find your village, and you see you will at least have 2 to 3 pages about your village. So like that I found my ancestral village's history, and I found it to be very, it had a documented history from maybe around, it may be from around 16th century, but still it was so fascinating. So when we kind of rediscover all these things, so these things can happen in these kind of hubs, which our curriculum does not actually provide, but NEP is actually enabling us by opening all the things. I mean, it's not like a very structural frame laga in led. It's very open, so we can create our own content. Mana pillalu em chadukovalanedi mananga da nirnayinchukovalsindi. ఎవరో ఎక్కడో కూర్చొని నాట్ సమ్వన్ సమ్వేర్ ఎల్స్ సిట్టింగ్ దేర్ అండ్ అంటే మనం ఎంతసేపు కెరీర్ ఓరియంటెడ్గానే ఆలోచిస్తున్నామా అంటే మనం అసలు ఫండమెంటల్స్ మర్చిపోతున్నాం. ఫండమెంటల్స్ని మర్చిపోయి మనకు తెలియని ఒకనొక అర్థం కానటువంటి ఒకనొక ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ని మన మనసులో పెట్టుకొని మనం వీఆర్ సమ్వేర్ రన్నింగ్ రేస్. యాక్చువల్లీ వీఆర్ నాట్ ఆస్కింగ్ ఆర్సెల్స్ సమ్ ఫండమెంటల్ క్వశ్చన్స్. మన పిల్లలకి ఏం కావాలి, దాని ఎంతసేపు మనం ఫీజు కట్టడం కోసం డబ్బులు సంపాదించడం అని అనుకుంటున్నాం, కానీ అరే ఫీజు మనం దేనికి కడుతున్నాం, అసలు అక్కడ కరికులం ఎలా ఉంది, ఆ కరికులంని ఎవరు ఫ్రేమ్ చేస్తున్నారు, ఆ డిజైన్ ఎవరు చేస్తున్నారు, ఎవరో నా పిల్లలకి నేనేం చెప్పాలనే అనేది ఉందా, నా పిల్లలకి నేనేం చెప్పాలి అనేది ఎప్పుడు నాకు అనిపించలేదా? సో దీస్ ఆర్ ది వెరీ ఫండమెంటల్ క్వశ్చన్స్ దట్ వీ మే హ్యావ్ టు ఆస్క్, అండ్ ప్లేసెస్ లైక్ IKS Hub enable us to actually answer these questions. When it is a people's movement, we also as content developers will understand when people come and demand us what they want, so that we can actually even enhance the content that we are actually preparing. మాకంటూ కొన్ని ఆలోచనలు ఉన్నాయి, మేము కొన్ని ఆలోచనలు మనసులో పెట్టుకొని వస్తాం, because we have our own experience from the observing the world out there. But if it becomes a people's movement, అప్పుడు జనాల్లో నుంచి వచ్చేటటువంటి చైతన్యం వలన జనాలకి ఏం కావాలి, దానికి సంబంధించి ఇంకా మనం ఏం చేయొచ్చు. సో ఇట్ బికమ్స్ అ వెరీ ఆర్గానిక్ డెవలప్మెంట్. ఇట్ బికమ్స్ అ మూవ్మెంట్ వేర్ చేంజ్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఈజ్ it becomes a ripple effect that actually resonates in the society. So that is what we want to achieve. I think we will be achieving it. And this is just the first step towards it, and I thank each and every organization who has come here to associate by themselves. Thank you very much.
Ji from Purna Pramiti, who also share his insights, who has also been for long working towards Bharatiya Jnana Parampara.
Thank you. In the presentation given by Sri Suryanarayana, all of you have seen the name of the book called Beautiful Tree by Dharampaji. I was fortunate as a young boy of 20 to spend some time with him and learn quite a few things from his vast 60 plus years of experience. I'd like to begin by sharing a couple of thoughts that he told me around 2005, in the Common Era. I asked him, what is it that is currently missing in the society, Indian society, and what is the problem that you see requires to be addressed? And I'd like to read out what he said in his own words. So he said, the problem with India today current day India is that India is not using its own intelligence and talent and local resources to have a good living in India. It has given that up. What does it mean to talk about our own local talent, resources, and also a point about solving our own problems, and think about what is good living? This question becomes a very key question in almost every aspect of our current life. What is good living? What is good life? I think the kind of efforts, specifically the kind of people's movement that IKS Hub is desirous of starting, has to necessarily ask a question about what is good life. Unless we have a clarity about this sense of what is good life, all the rest of the efforts, however sincere they are, they may not actually give the fruit that we desire. To directly tackle the question of good life, I have been introduced as being part of Purna Pramati. Purna Pramati is an institution, a center for integrated learning, running in Bengaluru since 2010, Common Era. It's seeded by Sri Sri Vishweshwar Tirtha Swamiji of Gajavara Adhokshaja Matha. The key kind of effort running in Purna Pramati, the kind of theme, the running theme is Parampara Bija Raksha. Now, IKS, we've already seen, though it is an English expression, the bhava is in our own languages as Bharatiya Jnana Parampara Kendra. So, IKS Hub is the Bharatiya Jnana Parampara Kendra. In this sense of parampara, when we talk of the term parampara, we need to keep in mind that parampara is only of two kinds. We might speak about Bhasha Parampara, we might speak about Natya Parampara, Sangeeta Parampara, many of these. But primarily it is only of two kinds. One is Bindu Parampara and the other is Nada Parampara. When we refer to Bindu Parampara, it is the one's own family lineage. And the second is the Guru Sishya Parampara, Nada Parampara. One of the key kind of things that we notice modern world has done unto us, and probably almost all the societies in the world, is to separate Bindu Parampara from Nada Parampara. So much so that the gap between one's own family and what happens as education has only been growing, and that growth of this gap has come to a state where it also has come to break several families. We may also be experiencing this in a variety of ways in our own lives, but to overcome the same, what does it take to have a harmony between these two paramparas is a key question that we are trying to attempt. And I think that is a point where the question of good life also comes back, because if we can stay at our own home and think that whatever recognition we have to get is actually inside our home but not outside, that itself is a great kind of clarity for having a better sense of good life. Because we have learned from modern philosophers, Martin Heidegger being one of them, who said that modernity is actually about driving people outside of their homes to seek recognition on the streets. To be able to counter this is a task that I believe an occasion like getting several people of like-minded thoughts come together, and this Bharatiya Jnana Parampara Kendra could possibly achieve. And I wish that this grows strength over time, and with this strength, because none of these things can be done individually. And one of the things that we've been trying to articulate as a part of efforts at Purna Pramati is that all these need to be seen as a Satrayaga. And they said that in Kali Yuga, one should not perform Satrayaga in the Vaidika sense. But people do use the word Satra, and Satra is something that you also see. You have Dharma Satra, where people go and stay. And the sense that is there is that Satra also has a sutra, Sarve Satra Yajamanaha. All people who are part of the Satra are Yajamanas. They are actually the owners of the entire place, the kind of activity that they do. So it is this sense of Satrayaga that all of us need to keep in mind. And that is where, say, our sense of parampara, if it leads us forward, I'm sure the question of good life that Dharampalji raised would indeed be addressed. Thank you.
Many thanks. Now I would request Kiriti ji to address the gathering.
Just wanted to share something. I just came like an audience, like everybody. With all how the like-minded people here, I just wanted to share one very important thing which we need to address while we are talking about the education. And first of all, thank you so much, Ajay ji, for gracing the occasion, Honorable Ajay ji for gracing the occasion, and also, ma'am, it was wonderful to listen to you, and what a presentation, man! So much of information, and all the other speakers, thank you so much for your beautiful insights. I wanted to tell one thing. During my growing years, I saw a film which there was one song which was lingering in my mind. It is very important. So, like that song is, it's whenever education comes into my mind, I remember that song. It goes something like, "Give me some sunshine, give me some rain, give me another chance. I wanna grow up once again." So this is a song I heard in 3 Idiots movie in 2009, I guess. The film released. It's about putting pressure on kids on getting marks, getting into excellence. There he will say, Amir Khan will say, Kabil bano Kabil, kamyabi check mark ke piche aayegi. So you run behind excellence, that is what matters. And 2019, there is another film called Chichore, which released, which also talked about the pressure on kids on education. And recently, this year, there is another film called Sir, which released. It also talks about education and how education is very important, how teachers are very important, how we need to run behind excellence, and that is very important. After all the films are super duper hits, okay, all the films made a lot of money, but last week I saw a news which came in the news saying that Telangana, Varangal, there is one college wherein the student committed suicide. He was inter student. He was in one of the institute. It broke my heart, and I was really touched by that specific incident, and I was like, oh man, that is the suicides are still happening. Oh, so the pressures are still there on the kids in terms of the running behind the marks, scoring the top marks and all. So that really moved me. And when I saw the pamphlet which said about freedom from comparison, freedom from competition, it really touched my heart. And thank you so much. That's one of the most important thing what we need to address. That please don't put pressure on students. What is very important is why are you learning it? Why are you learning it? And that's very important aspect. Don't run behind scoring marks. Especially there are so many kids here. All the parents out there, please don't force your children to get marks. अरे वो शर्मा जी का बेटा देखो रे उसका marks देख. Please no, don't do this. वो let him do whatever he want to. You make sure why, teach your kids why they are doing and for what is the purpose they are doing. See, I am one of the person who run behind the marks. I am one of the person who got affected by अरे वो शर्मा जी का बेटा अरे उसको देखो इसको देखो and all. And later, what happened recently, I'll tell you. I went to Chennai. I just wanted to tell you this incident wherein there is a lady called Chitra Madhavan. She's an archaeologist. I think you heard about her, no, ma'am. So she took everybody, all of us, to show on a heritage walk. So she took everybody to a temple, and she was explaining the Gopuram. What exactly is the GoPro made of? each and every craving, what is the story behind it, what we need to learn. So what I realized was, since childhood, whenever I go to temple, I am only bothered about prasadam. But actually we need to know what is the history. So best thing what we can do right now in our generation, in the social media, WhatsApp generation, is spread the knowledge in terms of why they are doing it. Like, why are you going to the temples? Our advantage among all the other countries is we are extremely rich in heritage and culture. We are extremely rich in heritage and culture. Trust me, because Chennai or Bangalore or Hyderabad or you go to any kind of state, every state has their own language. Every state there has their own culture. Every state has their own kind of methodology and stories and everything. So when we are so rich, why not show off, man? This is how we show off. I think IKS is the one we have to show off. Show off to the entire world that yes, we are capable of learning. Yes, we are capable of doing much better in our own style, our own stories, our own way. So this is one of the beautiful things, initiative. And thank you, Supriya ma'am and Manjushkesh, for actually inviting me for this thing. It's really one of the most rooted thing what we require. And another point what I wanted to mention here is humanity. Please teach children that humanity is more important than religion. It's not religion. Humanity is very important. Like how sir said that they were never forced to convert into Christianity, even though the church was there. That's beautiful, sir. Beautiful way of growing up. Our growing up, our environment where children growing up is very important. That is the way they impact. That is the way their life will impact them. So make sure you tell them humanity is much bigger than anything. So being human is more important. And something else also I wanted to talk that. Yeah, third, while I was, I had a small idea. I wanted to share something before I wind up. Sir, you said about it's all about the people, how we take the movement in our own hands, right? So I feel that now that we are in a generation, now that we are in a cities wherein I see lots of gated communities, IKS should have a kind of workshops wherein we go to the gated communities and we conduct the workshops and make sure the education is spread, or that should be done in a storytelling kind of technique or any kind of technique which is engaging, because we are in a Instagram generation, real generation, where we don't have much more engaging capacity more than 15 seconds. So let's try to make sure whatever we do, whatever IKS does, I am always there to support, because we are very rich in heritage and culture. Indians are very rich in heritage and culture. So let's try to show off. Please give me a chance also to show off about our own culture. By narrating a small poem, I wanted to close it. See, I saw a film called Aditya 369 in my childhood. It has a great impact on me, because it has Sri Krishna Devarayala Kalam, wherein there is a poet called Tenali Ramakrishna. Tenali Ramakrishna is a guy who is from our own heritage. He is the guy who can do anything out of humor. Like he is a poet and he is extremely witty, and he is one of the most interesting character which was impacted on me. One of the poem he said was like, Meka toka kumeka toka meka kutoka meka toka meka toka meka toka kumeka toka meka kutoka meka toka meka toka. So this is one of the beautiful poem what he wrote. This is about life and history, and he has this way of including the puzzles. And the best what we can do to kids or the next generation is use our heritage, use our own culture, use our knowledge, our own roots, so that it will help you to not ratify how sir said, to to do something for excellence, rather than it will imbibe the creativity in you to write your own poems, write your own poetry. Yeah, so that's what I guess this will come up with getting our own creativity from the next generation, also from ours. And it's never too late. It's never too late. Yeah, it's never too late. Let's start. Thank you so much.
Many thanks. For 10 more minutes, we'll conclude this event. We started 5:30, 7:30. We'll do our best to end.
అందరికీ నమస్కారం. ఎక్కడైనా మంచి పని చిన్నగానే స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది. 1905లో వందే మాతరం అంటూ చిన్న మూమెంటే లాస్ట్కి బ్రిటిషర్స్ని మన నుంచి పంపించింది. అప్పుడు కూడా సమాజం 90% సమాజం మంచి స్లేవరీలో చాలా ఎంజాయ్ చేస్తున్నాము, అనవసరంగా ఫ్రీడమ్ అవసరం లేదని 90% సమాజం అనుకుంది. కానీ భగత్ సింగ్, చంద్రశేఖర్ ఆజాద్, నేతాజీ సుభాష్ చంద్రబోస్ ఆల్ ఓవర్ ద కంట్రీ డిఫరెంట్ ప్లేసెస్లో ఏం కమ్యూనికేషన్ రోజుల్లో మనకు ఫ్రీడమ్ కావాల్సిందే, వీళ్ళ కింద ఉండడం ఎందుకని వాళ్ళందరూ ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్ మీదకి వచ్చిండ్రు కాబట్టే ఫ్రీడమ్ వచ్చింది. ఇప్పుడున్న ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్ కూడా కంఫర్ట్గా క్లాస్ రూమ్ నడిచిపోతుంది. పిల్లలని గురించి అసలు పట్టించుకోవట్లేదు, వాళ్ళకి ఏమి ఇస్తున్నాం అనేది కూడా తెలియని పరిస్థితుల్లో ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్ జరుగుతూ ఉంది. కానీ మీరందరూ కూడా ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్ మీదకి వచ్చి అందరూ కూడా అంటే చెడ్డవాళ్ళు చాలా చోట్ల కలుస్తూ ఉంటారు మామూలుగా, ఉదయం సాయంత్రం అన్ని చోట్ల. చెంచల్ కూడా జైల్లో కలిసిన వాళ్ళు కూడా నాలెడ్జ్ షేర్ చేసుకొని చిన్న చిన్న దొంగతనాలు చేసే వాళ్ళందరూ అక్కడ కలిసి అక్కడ టాయిలెట్ పోయేటప్పుడు భోజనం అప్పుడు కూర్చొని నాలెడ్జ్ షేర్ చేసుకొని బయటికి వచ్చి పెద్ద దొంగతనం చేస్తారు. కానీ మంచి వాళ్ళు మాత్రం మంచిగా కలవారు. దాంట్లో కూడా ఫిలాసఫీ ఉంది. మరీ మనము చాదస్తం పట్టుకొని ఉండొద్దు, మోర్ ట్రెడిషనల్గా ఉండొద్దు, మరీ జీన్స్ ప్యాంట్ చింపుకొని తిరిగే పరిస్థితి ఉండొద్దు. మామూలుగా నాలాగా పాయింట్ వేసుకునే పరిస్థితుల్లోనే మనం ఈ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్ని మనం మార్చాలి. న్యూ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టంలో చాలా బ్యూటిఫుల్గా కొన్ని థింగ్స్ని మన పరంపరల నుంచి థింగ్స్నే ఇప్పుడున్న ప్రజెంట్ సొసైటీకి అవసరమైన విధంగా చాలా డిజైన్ చేసిండ్రు. దాన్ని మనం ఎట్లా సిస్టంలోకి తీసుకెళ్తాం. 800 శాస్త్రాలు ఉన్నాయి. 800 శాస్త్రాలని మనం ఇప్పుడు ఒకటే రోజు మనం ఇవ్వలేం. కానీ కనీసం పాకశాస్త్రం నేర్పిద్దాం, ఫస్ట్ ఆయుర్వేద శాస్త్రం నేర్పిద్దాం, గోశాలలో పిల్లల్ని ఎంగేజ్ చేద్దాం. ఒక్క గోశాల చాలు పిల్లలకి. నేను ఎందుకంటే ఒక గోశాలలో నేను ఎన్నో విషయాలు నేర్చుకున్నా. నేను వ్యవసాయం చేసేటప్పుడు ఎన్నో విషయాలు, వృక్షశాస్త్రంలో ఎన్నో విషయాలు నేర్చుకున్నా. కానీ నాకు ఏమీ రాదు అని నన్ను పనికిమాలని చేయడం కోసమే నేను స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళిన. నాకు చాలా వచ్చు, నీకు ఏది రాదో చెప్పించుకొని వానితో ఫెయిల్ మార్క్ వేసుకొని రావడానికే నేను స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళాను. అలాంటి దౌర్భాగ్యమైన పరిస్థితి రోజు 90% చిల్డ్రన్స్ సఫర్ అవుతున్నారు. ఓన్లీ 10% చిల్డ్రన్ కోసమే సిస్టమ్ మొత్తం పనిచేస్తూ ఉంది. కానీ ఆ 90% యొక్క టాలెంట్ని అసలు బయటికి తీసుకురావడానికి అసలు అందుకోసమే నేను మొన్న ఒక స్కూల్కి వెళ్ళి నేను ఆల్ ఇండియా బ్యాక్ బెంచర్స్కి ప్రెసిడెంట్ అని నేను అక్కడ అనౌన్స్ చేసిన. నాకు అట్లా అనిపించింది. నాకు అంతే. అంటే ఒక పిల్లాడు సరే మనము ఈ ముందలు బెంచిన వాళ్ళందరికీ 100కు 100 మార్కులు తెచ్చుకున్న వాళ్ళందరికీ ఉద్యోగాలు ఇవ్వాలిరా మనము. కాబట్టి మార్కులు తెచ్చుకుంటే ఉద్యోగాలు ఇవ్వరు. ఈ మార్కులు తెచ్చుకున్న వాళ్ళంతా ఉద్యోగాలు చేస్తారు. ఉద్యోగాలు ఎవరు ఇస్తారంటే వెనక బెంచ్లో కూర్చున్న మనలాంటి వాళ్ళే ఇస్తారు సార్ అని అక్కడ మాట్లాడితే ఒక అబ్బాయి వచ్చి నువ్వు నా బ్రాండ్ సార్ అన్నాడు. అబ్బా అమ్మ, నాకు ఎంత ఆనంటే నాలాగా సఫర్ అయ్యేటోళ్ళు. ఎందుకంటే లెక్కలు సార్ ఏం చెప్తాడో అర్థం కాకపోతుంది. అది ఎక్స్ అనుకోమంటుండే, ఎక్కడ కనిపించదు. అది చంద్రుడిని అనుకోమంటే అక్కడ కనిపిస్తుంది కాబట్టి అనుకుంటా, కానీ కనిపించని ఎక్స్ అనుకోవడము చాలా చాలా కష్టమైన పని ఉండే. ఆ నుంచి ఉంటుంటేనే 4 తెచ్చుకోమంటుండే. ఎక్కడ సార్ 4 అని అంటే అక్కడ అంటుండే. చాలా కష్టమైన మనకు రానిది చెప్పి సావగొట్టడం కోసమే ఈ స్కూల్స్ అన్నీ ఉన్నాయి. ఖచ్చితంగా మార్చాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. తెలిసిన విషయాలు చెప్పాలి. అరే నీ జువాలజీ ల్యాబ్ నా ఆవు ఈనింది ఎప్పుడు, కట్టింది ఎప్పుడు, జున్ను పాలు ఎప్పుడు వస్తాయి, దూడకి ఎన్ని పాలు వదలాలి, మనం ఎన్ని పాలు తీసుకోవాలి, భూమికి ఎన్ని పాలు ఇవ్వాలి, ఇవన్నీ నాకు నేర్పించే అద్భుతమైన నా కల్చర్ నాకు చాలా విషయాలు నేర్పించే అవకాశం ఉంది. అలాంటి కల్చర్ను వదిలిపెట్టేసేసి ఈ పుస్తకాలు ఈ రాసినోడు ఎవడో దరిద్రం, వాడు కనిపిస్తే మాత్రం కనిపించడు, వాడు కనిపిస్తే వాడిని తోలు తీస్తా. అసలు నాకు అసలు ఎడ్యుకేషన్నే వదిలిపెట్టాను. నేను మంచి పాలు విండుకొని మంచిగా నేను నా కడుపు నింపుకుంటుంటే, 4 కడుపు నింపుతుంటే మంచి భోజనము. అది అట్లాంటిది చెత్త చదువులన్నీ కూడా మా మీద రుద్ది చాలా ఘోరమైన పరిస్థితి. అందుకోసమే నేను 35 ఇయర్స్కి రిటైర్మెంట్ తీసుకొని అరే దీని అంతు తేల్చాలి. ఖచ్చితంగా తెలుస్తాం సార్, క్వశ్చనే లేదు. మనం అనుకుంటే ఖచ్చితంగా తెలుస్తాం, ఖచ్చితంగా కూడా మారుస్తాం. ఎందుకంటే మనలాంటి వాళ్ళు మార్చకపోతే ఖచ్చితంగా హోప్ ఉంది. ఎందుకంటే స్వాతంత్రం అప్పుడు కూడా ఇదే పరిస్థితి ఉండే. దీన్ని ఎవరు మార్చలేరు. ఈ కార్పొరేట్లా అసలు
మానవ వనరులని తయారు చేయడం అనేది 100కు మించిన సంఖ్యతోని ఎట్లా మానవ వనరులను తయారు చేస్తారు? కార్పొరేట్లో 1000 మంది స్టూడెంట్స్ అంట. అసలు హ్యూమన్ రిసోర్సెస్ని తయారు చేసే స్ట్రక్చరే తప్పు ఉంది. అది అసలు క్లాస్ రూమే తప్పు. అసలు బ్లండర్. అసలు స్లేవ్స్ని తయారు చేయడం కోసం తయారు చేసిన ఈ క్లాస్ రూమ్ని దీన్ని పటాపంచలు చేసేసి చెట్టు కింద, పుట్ట కింద, గుట్ట కింద నేర్పాల్సిన ఎడ్యుకేషన్ మన పిల్లలకి ఇవ్వాలి. అలాంటి ఎడ్యుకేషన్ తీసుకురావడం కోసం మనం అందరం ఖచ్చితంగా మనం ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్ మీదకి రావాలి. మనం అనుకుంటే ఏది సాధించలేదు. నేనైతే నా జీవితంలో నేను ఏది అనుకుంటే అది ఖచ్చితంగా అయ్యింది. అందుకోసమే ఇప్పుడు అక్షరవనంలో మీకు వాడు 7-8కి వచ్చినాక కూడికలు గుణకారాలు రావు, వానికి చదవడం రావట్లేదు, రాయడం రావట్లేదు, వీనికి చదువు చెప్పడం మా నుంచి కావట్లేదు అని హెడ్ మాస్టర్ సర్టిఫికేట్ ఇస్తే అలాంటి పిల్లలను తీసుకొచ్చాం. వాడు అద్భుతంగా నేర్చుకుంటున్నాడు. నువ్వు చెత్త, నీ చదువు రావట్లేదు, కానీ వాడు నిజంగా నేచర్తో కనెక్ట్ అయ్యి ఎన్ని విషయాలు నేర్చుకోవాలో అన్ని విషయాలు నేర్చుకుంటున్నాడు. అలాంటి అద్భుతమైన పిల్లల్ని నాకు బాధ అనిపిస్తుంది. నరకం చూపిస్తున్నాం ఆ పిల్లలకి. అంటే నేను ఒక 6th క్లాస్లో సఫర్ అయ్యి మ్యాథ్స్కి భయపడి బైపీసీ తీసుకొని, ఆ బైపీసీ తీసుకున్నా కూడా ఆల్ సైన్సెస్కి లాంగ్వేజ్ మ్యాథమెటిక్స్, మ్యాథ్స్ రాకపోతే నా ఫిజిక్స్ రాదు, నా కెమిస్ట్రీ రాదు. ఆ ఇంటర్మీడియట్లో పోతే మళ్ళీ ఫిజిక్స్ కెమిస్ట్రీ ఉంటుంది, అది వదిలేస్తే బీఎస్సీలోకి పోయినా, బీఎస్సీలోకి పోతే మళ్ళీ బాటనీ జువాలజీ అద్భుతంగా అర్థమయ్యేది, మళ్ళీ కెమిస్ట్రీలో మళ్ళీ కెమిస్ట్రీ అర్థం కాదు. ఈ బాధ అంతా తప్పించుకొని ఉస్మానియాలో లా చేసిన నా కర్మ చూడు. నేను నేర్చుకునే ఏజ్ మొత్తం కూడా ఈరోజు నేర్చుకునే ఏజ్, పనిచేసే ఏజ్ మొత్తం కూడా క్లాస్ రూమ్లలో కూర్చోబెట్టి నాశనం చేస్తున్నాం. ఆ నేర్చుకునే ఏజ్ మొత్తం అయిపోయిన తర్వాత అమీర్పేటలో 3 నెలల కోర్సు నేర్చుకొని ఉద్యోగం సంపాదించాలి. కర్మ కాలే. ఎవడు ఈ కొడుకులకు చదువు చెప్పింది మనకు చదువు చెప్పమని? 20 ఏళ్ళు మొత్తం సంఘ నాకు ఇచ్చి ఆ తర్వాత పోయి అమీర్పేటలో పోయి నేను చదువుకోవాలన్నా? ఇంత ఘోరమైన పరిస్థితి. కాబట్టి తన కాళ్ళ మీద తాను నిలబడే శక్తి సామర్థ్యాలను ఇచ్చేదే విద్య. స్వామి వివేకానంద చెప్పండి. అలాంటి శక్తి సామర్థ్యం అంటే కేవలం మెమరీని మాత్రమే టెస్ట్ చేయడం కాదు. మెమరీ ఇప్పుడు ఆఫ్టర్ మొబైల్ నీ మెమరీతో సంబంధమే లేదు. ఏదంటే అది మొబైల్లో దొరుకుతుంది. నిజంగా కూడా కావాలంటే కోఆర్డినేషన్, కోఆపరేషన్, టీమ్ వర్క్, స్పాంటేనియస్ డిసిషన్, క్రైసిస్ మేనేజ్మెంట్, టైం మేనేజ్మెంట్, ఫైనాన్స్ మేనేజ్మెంట్, ఈ స్కిల్స్ అన్ని రావాలి. ఈ స్కిల్స్ అన్ని కూడా ఎమోషన్స్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా గోశాలలో పిల్లవాడిని ఒక 1 year గోశాలలో ఉంచితే వానికి ఎమోషన్స్ వస్తాయి, టైం మేనేజ్మెంట్ వస్తుంది, ఫైనాన్స్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ వస్తుంది, స్పాంటేనియస్ డిసిషన్ వస్తుంది, క్రైసిస్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ వస్తుంది. ఎవ్రీథింగ్ ఒక గోశాలలో ఒక 1 year ఉంచితే నేర్చుకుంటాడు. అలాంటి గోశాలకు దూరం చేసేసి ఆ క్లాస్ రూమ్లలో కూర్చోబెట్టి అసలు గొర్రెలను కూర్చోబెట్టినట్టు వారు మాట్లాడుతుంటే గొర్రెలం కాదు, గొర్రెల కాపర్ అన్నాడు చూడు. అబ్బా, నాకు చాలా ఆ కాపర్లు కావాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. నిజంగా కూడా గొర్రెల కాపర్లు నిజంగా సార్ వారు మాట్లాడుతుంటే చాలా హోప్ అనిపిస్తుంది. అంటే ఇక్కడ వచ్చి మాట్లాడిన ప్రతి ఒక్కరు మాట్లాడిన తీరులో మనం ఖచ్చితంగా కూడా సాధించగలుగుతాం. నిజంగా కూడా నాకు అసలు బాధ, నేను స్కూళ్ళల్లోకి వెళ్ళిపోతే 90% మంది పిల్లలు ఈరోజు ఉన్న ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్కి కనెక్ట్ కావట్లేదు. అసలు మిగతా 10% కోసమే ఆ ఉద్యోగస్తులు అసలు ఉద్యోగం కోసం చదవడమే దరిద్రం అసలు. అలాంటి ఉద్యోగస్తులను తయారు చేయడం కోసం ఏర్పాటు చేసిన ఈ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సిస్టమ్ని మనం ఎన్ని రోజులు మోస్తాం? దాన్ని ఖచ్చితంగా ఆల్టర్నేటివ్గా మనం అందరం కలిసి ఏదో ఒకటి చూపించాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. చాలామంది పిల్లలకు నిజంగా కూడా ఇక్కడ అసెంబ్లీలో ఒక సీట్ ఎవరికి ఇవ్వాలంటే చైల్డ్కి ఇవ్వాలి. టీచర్లకు వాళ్ళకి రిప్రజెంట్ అసలు పిల్లవాని వాయిస్ అసలు ఇవ్వట్లేదు. అందుకోసం లోక్సభలో తర్వాత ఇక్కడ అసెంబ్లీలో కూడా పిల్లలకు ఒక ఖచ్చితంగా చైల్డ్ రిప్రజెంటేషన్ అసెంబ్లీలో ఉండాలి, పార్లమెంట్లో కూడా ఉండాలి. ఎందుకంటే వాని బాధ అర్థం చేసుకునేటోడు ఎవరు లేడు. వాని హోటాకు లేదు కాబట్టి వాని గురించి ఎవరు పట్టించుకోవట్లేదు. నిజంగా కూడా వానికి కూడా హోటాకు ఇవ్వాలి. అసలు పిల్లవాని బాధను అర్థం చేసుకోవడం అనేది చాలా కష్టంగా ఉంది. కాబట్టి ఖచ్చితంగా మనం అందరం కలిసి ఇది చేద్దాం. అటు ఖచ్చితంగా మంచి వాళ్ళందరూ ఒక ప్లాట్ఫామ్ మీదకి వస్తే ఖచ్చితంగా మంచి జరుగుతుంది. భగవంతుడు ఖచ్చితంగా కూడా మనం అందరి ఇది ఈ రోజు వచ్చింది నిన్నొచ్చింది కాదు. మన పరంపర ఎప్పుడో తరాల నుంచి వస్తున్న ఆ పరంపరని ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్లడము అనేది మన బాధ్యతగా మనం అందరం కూడా ఓన్ చేసుకుందాం. ప్రతి నెల ఏదో ఒక డేట్ రోజు ఇలాంటి బెస్ట్ ప్రాక్టీస్ జరుగుతున్న ఒక ప్లేస్లో మనం అందరం కలవడం ద్వారా మన వాయిస్ని తీసుకెళ్దాం. మరీ చాదస్తం వద్దు, మరీ జీన్స్ పాయింట్ చింపుకున్న పాయింట్ వద్దు. మనము ప్రజెంట్ సొసైటీతో కలిసి పోకుంటూ ఒక్కొక్కటి మనం ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేద్దాం. ఎందుకంటే వాళ్ళని మరీ పారిపోతారు. ఇప్పుడు జుట్టు పెట్టుకుని ఉంటే అసలు పిల్లనిస్తలేరని చెప్పి బ్రాహ్మణ్స్ కూడా మొత్తం అదంతా తీసేసి జీన్స్ ప్యాంట్ వేసుకొని బుల్లెట్ల మీద తిరుగుతున్నారు, ఎందుకంటే పిల్లనిస్తలేరని. అలాంటి రోజుల్లో మనము ఖచ్చితంగా కొద్దిగా వ్యవహార జ్ఞానంతో పోతే చాలా బాగుంటుంది. అందులో నేను నెంబర్ 1. కొద్ది వెనక్కి బెంచ్ వాళ్ళకి చాలా, మీరంతా కొద్ది ముందు బెంచిన మేధావులకి కొన్ని వ్యవహార జ్ఞానంలో కొద్దిగా తక్కువ ఉంటుంది. దాంట్లో నేను అడ్వైస్ ఇవ్వడానికి నేను ఎప్పుడు ముందుంటా. ఖచ్చితంగా మనం IKS హబ్ని మనం ముందుకు తీసుకెళ్ళి పిల్లల జీవితాల్లో వెలుగులు చూడాలని అందరం ఒకసారి పిడికిలి పెంచి నేను మాతరం అంట, వందే మాతరం. ఎందుకంటే ఆ రోజు బ్రిటిష్ వారిని దేశం నుంచి తరిమి కొట్టడం కోసం ఆ నినాదం ఉపయోగపడ్డది. మళ్ళీ 100 సంవత్సరాల తర్వాత మళ్ళీ అదే నినాదం ఎందుకు అవసరమైందంటే మన విద్యార్థులకి భారతీయ విద్య నువ్వు అందించడం కోసం మనం అందరం కూడా పిడికిలు బిగిద్దాం. ఒక్కసారి మాతరం 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 మీతరం మాతరం నవతరం మాతరం యువతరం. ఈ పిడికిల్లో మన విద్యా వ్యవస్థని మార్చడం కోసం అందరం కలిసి నడుద్దామని తెలియజేస్తూ సెలవు తీసుకుంటాను. నమస్కారం.
This is the flavor of a people's movement, where all of us from all walks of life bring our important Yatha Shakti. We work towards, preservation, protection, and dissemination of IKS. And to host this all, the Sutradhara here is Sri Manjikeshwar Reddy ji. His establishment of the Parampara Education Society here, and the way he has been anchoring many of these aspects is that I must also very thankful for the kind of upbringing that he has also had. I must thank and bow down to his parents also here who are here with us for the vision that the family has together to work towards Dharma Karya. I request Manjikesh ji to also share a few words on how he is going to also host the IKS Hub for all of us.
So namaste everyone. Taking this people's movement of IKS, it's not each organization or each individual's movement. It's a gathering, it's a movement of the Praja of the Bharata Varsha to take this knowledge system forward. So my background being a technical guy with IT background. So for 23 years of my education, I was like wondering what did I study at the end of my this much of education. So it was only to code. Code for what?
Topper. Get dissuaded, he's the university topper.
So code for what? Just to get your Swiggy order in 10 minutes? That's what the coding is doing, get your Amazon. But that is not the whole life. If you look at life, it's much more vaster. So what I have learned in 23 education, in 2 years you can actually learn it. As Madhav Reddy ji was saying, the education is like dampening the skills, what the individual is having, not appreciating the diversity, what an individual can actually do. So that's why the Parampara preschool we have started. So that's where I thought it would be easy, with Guru's guidance, it would be easy to come into and awaken the people. Because 3 to 6 years, actually a preschool, that is nothing. Like at the end of the day, you just know to your children will know to write ABCD till Z and just the numbers. But Shankaracharya, great Mahatmas, in very young age, they could learn a lot of things, lot of skills they could exhibit. So actually we are dampening the whole skills of a being. So this IKS Hub, through this, we would wish to take forward all this knowledge system. So Indian knowledge system basically gives the frameworks in whatever dimension you are. For example, in my chemistry class, I remember, it was too tough to understand, one of my chemistry teacher, because she would start, she started with chapter 5. How would that be? How would one grasp it? You mean, like, it's chaos everywhere. Same way I look at the whole education system, wherein they start with diversity. The Indian frameworks will start from unifying principle. Say in Ayurveda, if you simply learn Vata Pitta Kapha, it will be so simple to handle your health for the whole lifetime. Such simple thing. But if you look at the modern education, the biology teachers, even after 10 years, I have few friends who are doctors, they are suffering from health problems, and they can't figure out why. Like there is no proper reason, there is no background to trace back to what is exactly the problem. So, like that, when I went to my gurus, they give me so much concepts like, in fact, the whole Shastra, whole knowledge system for the prayer itself starts with Purnavadam, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamugachyate. So the whole universe is complete. We ourselves are complete. So from there, if you look, you can go and explore so much of diversity. So that is missing. You said, Kiritiji was saying about competition spirit. Why is that happening in the modern framework? Because your comparison is only on diversity. You're not able to identify the unifying principle in all the beings. So from childhood, our Indian education system, that's how it was taught, that you are divine, everything is divine, So there is no competitive spirit. You cannot, the competitive spirit itself does not arise. There is no platform. So that frameworks is what Indian knowledge systems can provide. The holistic life. So through this IKS Hub, you each individual, like whoever is here, in whatever way you can contribute for this movement. It's not about this event, it's just a moment. Now you are all holding this event and you are walking in the space. So in whatever way possible, monthly, one day, or whatever your capacity, just contribute, just keep this in mind. Just hold this IKS word in your mind, and in whatever way possible you can contribute for this cause. Thank you. You can be in touch with me for any further events. Yeah, thank you. So,
IKSHub.org has his number.
IKSHub.org.
We can also speak after this. May welcome Matashi to sort of give the. I can hear all the rumbling sounds here. Chair shaking. But, thank you all for being wonderful participants. Now I request Matashi to give the closing.
Thank you for being a wonderful audience, and thank you to Surya Narayan, who's put in a lot of effort to bring this together. Thank you to all the volunteers who are manning the various desks, put everything together, the sound system, the audio-visual setup and all that. And I see this effort as everybody's effort. So basically, the vision is to fill up the IKS calendar, where this space can be utilized every single day if possible. So whatever event you have in mind, which we can support in any which way, probably somebody is good in designing the content, but may not be so good in disseminating the information. So the IKS Hub can come together to disseminate that information. We can put all the events on the web page, showcase each organization's work on the web page, and also support each other in terms of one could have a space, one could be good in curriculum development, one could be good in content development. We could have content development workshops come together. In fact, I was also talking about having an IKS bus, where we take a bus and then have all these posters, displays and everything go to various places so that citizens can be awakened towards these Indian knowledge systems. So there are umpteen number of ideas. Whatever we say will just come from us, but if it comes from all of us, then it will be a very collective movement. So that way I'm very, very happy that we have been an instrument in this whole thing. It is now your movement, and it is up to, it is the platform for the citizens of Hyderabad to take it forward the way they imagine it. And we would be very happy to serve this cause in whatever way. We are doing this as a seva bhava. Whatever strengths we have, we will be happy to offer it so that this momentum can pick up. Thank you so much. And we have a few announcements with respect to the, of course, the dinner and other things.
Wanted to also, in the traditional sense, invoke the beginning and invoke also at the end the divine. And as Matashi was saying, thank you all for being wonderful participants. The actual IKS subspace, like I showed you in a small video, is right across, where we thought we could all collectively have the dinner prasada together, also ideate on various fronts, interact with each other one-on-one, and see and design what all aspects we can work together in bringing forward. As Matashi and Manjukeshji were sharing, we always work towards bringing, we'll definitely drive towards, creating various diverse events from Nataka Shastra to, from an entire diverse spectrum to, across the Indian, rich heritage. We'll do our best to, keep contributing by organizing various events. As, that in our front, we'll keep updating the calendar on ikshub.org. And you all as ambassadors now, in the dinner meetup also, we'll all discuss, what are different ways in which you can all commit to this, entire movement. As he was saying, different societies, different places that could be spokes to this hub, and we can all work together in this process. Very importantly, your willingness to participate with IKS Hub is a simple, information sharing about who you are. There's a small registration desk there, which sort of the IKS Hub, bandhutva, for it to begin, for our family to grow. We have a small registration desk here. I request you to share your names and, tick a few things that you would like to volunteer about. There are though books where are discouraged everywhere. These times books are a wonderful medium to introduce children to various aspects. We've got some IKS books. We have also got a Samskara journal for children here. We've got a few T-shirts that promote many of these facts. How Madhava was the Indian mathematician who gave the infinite series for pi. How it was the beginning of calculus and so on. How Bodhayana was the one who gave the Pythagorean theorem. Various other aspects in various knowledge systems are available as simple promotable T-shirts. That's a way to support, IKS Hub, where you become a walking canvas for the knowledge parampara in itself. So I welcome you all to also participate in that movement. More of it would be available at ikshub.org as well. We will close with a small invocatory and a chanting from the Dharma Gurukulam children who very much wanted to be here, but at least they could participate virtually by offering this as a rendition.
पाटीं सद्गणितस्य वच्मि चतुरप्रीतिप्रदां प्रस्तुतां संक्षिप्ताक्षरकोमलामलपदैः लालित्यलीलावती लीलाकलल्लोलकालव्यालविलासिने गणेशाय नमो नीलकमलामलकान्तये एकदशशतसहस्रायुतलक्षप्रैतकोटयः क्रमशः अर्बुदमब्जं खर्वनिखर्व महापद्मशङ्कवस्तस्मात् जलधिश्चान्त्यं मध्यं परार्धमिति दशगुणोत्तरा संज्ञाः सङ्ख्यायाः स्थानानां व्यवहारार्थं कृताः पूर्वैः दृष्टोदिष्टमृदुरं क्षेत्रं यत्रैकमाहुतस्वल्पा तदितरभुजेतिरथवा तुल्यामेयं करक्षेत्रं लम्बगुणं भूम्यर्थं स्पष्टं त्रिभुजे फलं भवति अतुल्यकर्णाभिहतिर्विभक्ता फलं स्फुटं तुल्यचतुर्भुजे स्यात् समाश्रुतौ तुल्यचतुर्भुजे च तथा यते तद्भुजकोटिघातः.
In fact, we are sharing a great amount of kshetra, Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. May the benefit of all our endeavors reach everybody and our very being be beneficial to all around us. Many thanks for joining us all this evening. May we continue for a dinner prasada and discuss more aspects of where all we can contribute. Please do lend your name to the IKS Hub here. Please do check out the t-shirts and the books too. We'll have more discussions following this. Many thanks to everybody. Thank you. Good.
This 1, 2, 3.